Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 2 of Life Herself podcast. I'm so grateful for all the love on the first episode. I honestly can't thank you enough for the shares, for the text messages, for the WhatsApps, for the Instagram DMs. I really am grateful. It was really nice to feel like everybody who listened felt they got something from it. I'm honestly just so grateful because it's been my little baby idea in my head for a while. And I know my first episode was a monologue. There'll be lots of episodes like that. But in this episode, I actually am talking to someone amazing. If you are a business-minded person, if you're an entrepreneur, this episode would be great for you. I'm talking to the one, the only Tamara Kramer. Let me tell you what I love about the episode. Even editing it, I just had such a big smile on my face because she's just so raw about everything, from her personal life to business, how she started her business in central London. She talks a little bit about her home life in Spain as well, how she moved from Spain to here, which I can totally relate to as a Nigerian. I'm actually Nigerian by birth. I lived there. I moved here around the same time as her. We actually talk a little bit about that. And then starting a business in a country that's not yours, but also in the capital. And not just that, in central London, which we both did. So I really felt like there was so much I could relate to. And I'm grateful for her rawness. I'm grateful for her openness to share her story. But I'm also just grateful for the space that she is taking. And I really say that a lot because I meant it. If you're watching this on YouTube, you see that this video quality is amazing and this sound quality is amazing. But as I play the interview with Tamara, it's completely different. The video quality is not great, neither is the sound. So I do apologize for that, but you have to bear with me because I'm still learning and growing in this podcast world. We recorded it on Zoom, and although I had this camera shooting, the sound just didn't come out right, but the interview was too good to not post. I was so tempted to be like, can we please re-record this? But Tamara and I, both businesswomen, both entrepreneurs, both people who are just like, man, we don't need to be perfect. We're happy to put this out there because I honestly, hands on my heart, believe that if you just listen to the words and listen to her advice and listen to her talk about her story, I honestly feel that you'll really learn something from it. Now, if you do, please don't forget to follow. All the links would be in the show notes and on YouTube, but the only link you need would be my Linktree link, which is link, LINK, TR, Tango Romeo, .ee, Echo / Joy Ogude. That's JOYOGUDE. So link tr.ee / Joy Ogude. That has everything in there. Without further ado, I'm going to play this interview. I really hope you enjoy it, and I hope you come back next week for episode number 3. Babe, thank you so much for doing this. You're a gem. Obviously, we haven't met. Like, I just feel so much light from you. It's ridiculous. Like, I genuinely, I'm so in awe, first of all the things that you're doing, like the space that you're taking. And maybe it comes natural to you or whatever, but my God, you are a fierce force to be reckoned with. And I'm just so proud to be in the same room as you. But my love, welcome. Welcome to Life Herself. Also, you were my first ever guest. I mean, imagine us in 10 years' time having this conversation going, remember when we couldn't figure out how to do the Zoom?
Do you remember it took us about 45 minutes to where we are right now?
Yeah, literally, it's 11:08. We started at 10:30. 30 minutes to set up, and like, do you know what? I love these stories because every time things don't go perfectly, in my head, I don't know about you, but in my head, I sort of bank it as like, it's going to be part of the story when we're like telling it on the other side, when we've written books or we're talking on stages, we'll be like, that's a story to tell, you know?
And then we'll put the thing in the background. Do you remember that?
Right. But welcome. Let me do a little bit of an intro. I'm ridiculously excited to have Tamara on the podcast. And this woman's an entrepreneur. She's a business mogul. She's the CEO of Studio 68 London. So that's your dance fitness company. And then you've also got the fitness side, 68 Fitness. So that's like an online platform for workouts, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got TK Women's Academy because you're a life coach. You're
Yeah.
a total vibes on vibe entrepreneur. I love, like I said, absolutely love the space that you're taking, but I'd love to open up the mic to you to, just say whatever you want to say about yourself, and introduce yourself in your own way to the listeners.
So, yeah, I'm Tamara Kramer, and as my beautiful Joy said, I have hands everywhere. Everything started with dance, but then life obviously moves forward, and we love obviously different parts of the entertainment industry and fitness. So, yeah, the Studio 68 London is now been open for 13 years. I decided to do it just after my background's into dance and living in the US for 3 years. I studied dance since I was little, so I've been in this industry close to 28 years. So that's a long time. And yeah, Studio 68 London just came as an idea of building up a place where everybody could get together and basically feel appreciated, get paid correctly, and have
Right.
professionalism. So yeah, unfortunately, as people know, the dance industry has always been a little bit of a, oh, I pay you, I don't pay you, I pay you in 3 months. It's the most volatile and most inconsistent. So I wanted to just, a teacher teaches, they get the money right at the end of class and everybody happy. So they didn't have to wait 3 months anymore. So yeah, that's where things started.
That's amazing. So let's take it back a little bit because I mean, babe, you have an amazing accent, number one. So let's start there because you are Spanish. I feel like inside me, I am actually Spanish because like that's my dream to go and live in Spain. Like
Oh,
it's literally my favorite country. I was actually learning Spanish last year. And I've spent some time in Spain and it literally is my dream to just speak like a Spanish woman. But
I
let's
can teach
start
you.
Thanks. I mean, I could say a few things, like just little things, but let's start there. So you're Spanish. You're born in Spain, lived in Spain until when?
So I was actually born in Barcelona, and I came to this
Oh,
country when I was 19 years old. I wanted to get
wow.
out of that world and basically really open up my knowledge into everything related to dance. So I was born there. I lived in Madrid, and I actually did salsa and I did all the styles of dance, including ballet, like all the foundational stuff. And then
Wow.
at the age of 17, I actually got a little bit too curious about the world between 16 and 17, and that's when I went to America. And I was studying dance between New York, San Diego, and Los Angeles. So yeah, it's I used to live there with my mother and my brother, but I don't know, the Spanish life wasn't really for me. I was itching. I need more, I need cultures, I need
Yes, yeah.
like, Spain is very traditional, everybody has to get
Mm,
married, go to university, have kids, and I was totally the opposite. I was like,
you
nope.
were so me.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, no, I don't want to settle for this, not just yet. And
Yes.
I'm still in the same spot. I'm not settling yet. I'm still there. I know.
I love that.
I don't know when it's going to stop, but it's still there.
It's okay, babe. You are living your truth. That's what you're doing. You are not fitting into, the boxes that society has, pretty much given to us to fit into, especially as women,
Yeah.
and as entrepreneurs. And that's something that I'm really looking forward to delving into, because you've just described yourself as this woman who from a young age didn't want to fit into society's boxes, and so you have thought that thought, but then 13 years later you have made that thought a reality, and there's a huge jump. It didn't happen overnight, I'm sure, and the fact that you've been to the US and now you're in the UK and you've still got roots in Spain. I want to talk a little bit about how that really happened for you. So, like, I'm sure at the time when you were younger, you didn't, you thought about things, you thought about maybe opening your dance company, you're passionate about things, but just talk me through how you went from an idea to where you are now.
So I feel that certain people have a vision on what they want to do even when they're little. I mean, to be honest, I'm an animal lover, and in my initial job that I wanted to do was being a vet. But
Really?
yeah, yeah, I'm a total animal lover. Like, if you ask me, like, I will spend all day in a farm or helping animals in a shelter. Like, I love
Wow.
animals. Yeah, it's
I love
something.
that.
Yeah, they just is a big thing for me. It's like, because they're so innocent, and they haven't got any other way. Like, if we don't help them, it's impossible for them to, let's say, have a life.
Yes, yes.
Initially, that's what I wanted to do, but the career as a vet wasn't something that was going to keep me. And I was like, I can't study all of this. I don't want to. I don't want to sit down with books. I don't want to do this. I'm a practical person. I like
Mm,
jump and do something. So as initially you have no knowledge into dance, you have no knowledge into how the business works. I moved after my adventures in the US. I moved to the UK, and I can tell you it was the hardest thing anybody can do, from a traditional country, family, very united, to live the world. And as you know,
mm.
you can survive in London and New York, you can survive anywhere in the
Anywhere.
So
Yes.
I came from a family unit to figure it out, and I didn't speak English. So I
You
didn't.
learned English when you came here?
I learned English on my travels, but when I
I
came
love
here,
that.
my dad is English, my mom is Spanish. So
Oh, okay.
what happened was, my parents tried and teach me as much as they could English, but I was so thick. I hated it. Don't tell me what to do. I don't want to learn this. So I was quite stubborn, and I think I'm still.
Right.
But I wanted to just basically come to a different country apart from my studies abroad. And I thought,
Mhm.
you know what, I gotta make this happen. So my first job in London was in Madame Tussauds. So I worked,
Oh, really?
yes, that was my first job. And I have to be honest, I was getting paid so much money. It was £5.50 an hour.
Oh.
I was so happy. I said, that's it. This money's going to
Oh.
help me so that I can do this, I can do that. And I was like, do you know what? I can make this happen. But then I was kicked out of that job.
Oh.
Yeah, I kicked out of that job. Don't ask me why. I think they asked for a reference somewhere. And because I've always been a bit of a rebel, I think
Right.
they give a bad reference, which is okay. It was a good job of my life. And then from there, I went to work at TGI Fridays, which I worked there for years and years and years and years. And I made, I'll be honest with you, so much money as a waitress. So much
Wow.
money. I mean, at that time, it
Wow.
was over £2,000 a month. I used to work, yeah, I used to work so many
Wow.
hours in this place. But at the same time, I grabbed another job, and I went to work for Sony Music. So,
Oh,
yeah, so I
yes.
started as a work experience at Sony at the same time as I was
Mhm.
waitressing, and at the same time as I was trying to get a job in Granada Television, and at the same time as I was trying to teach at Pineapple Dance Studios.
You had your hands in every part. Like that is just the spirit of an entrepreneur. We're not defined by one thing. When it's not even just about the money, it's like everything's a means to an end, because you have this goal that you've got your eyes on, and whatever you can do to get to that goal, to be one step ahead, it's all good. I
Yeah,
love that.
it was like, I mean, my parents were telling me, like, are you okay? And I'll be honest with you, when I was in Spain at the age of 14, I had a radio show, like, with your microphone, and every
Mhm.
Saturday morning I was the president of the New Kids on the Block fan club. Don't ask. It was so much fun. So
That's
I think
hilarious.
everything kind of started a little bit from, like, I love people, I love talking to the world. Let me just kind of keep going into the entertainment industry. My grandmother was a ballerina, Russian ballerina. My
Wow.
my dad's brother used to work with the presenter from Deal or No Deal in the radio. I don't know what his name is.
Okay. No, is it Noel
No, no,
Edmonds?
yes,
No
something like that.
Edmonds.
Yeah. So obviously, between having my background with my family and all the jobs I wanted to pick up to just put my hands into everything, get to know everybody, to then be able to save money with all these jobs, and have the knowledge that everything that I did in the US, save money, save money, save money. And then I went, I want a dance studio, like in between jobs, waitressing, into the radio, into the television channel, into Pineapple. I was in Pineapple Dance Studios teaching for 10 years. Then I just, it was a long time. And then I just suddenly one day I got a phone call from a friend of mine that used to work teaching. And she said, look, there is a place in central London that you might like, but you might have to invest a lot of money. And I was like, damn, I'm not going to have the money to do this. So I went to see the place, and I tell you, it was the first place I saw, and it was the place where it happened.
Oh my God. You just know when you know.
You know, when you open the doors of the place,
you know when you know.
It was empty. And I was like, I don't have the money for this. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? I was like, okay, it's been 11 years that I've been working like a crazy cow in between restaurants, also Hard Rock Cafe. I worked everywhere. I've got pictures. I can prove it.
Wow.
Look, I was like, look, I cannot. I said, I have to take this place. My parents were like, are you crazy? How are you going to do this? But I had that vision. I was like, I'm doing it. So before some Chinese company wanted to take over this railway arch, which is where we're in, I went to sign the contract, and I signed a lease.
How did you do it?
I did. Look, I just went there. I asked a friend of mine that had a lovely Jewish lawyer that, you know, they're amazing at what they do. And I went with an accountant, and they gave me advice, and they were like, okay, yeah, I think you can do this. And I just threw myself into it. And that's exactly how it happened.
Did you borrow money? Did you like, because I want your story is so inspiring. I feel like there will be so many budding female entrepreneurs that will listen to this, and they want to go from having that vision to making it happen. Babe, you are fire. Like, your journey is really inspirational. Like, I want the practical advice, like, for someone who's there going, I don't have the money, I want to do this. Like, how did you actually make it happen? Like, did you have to borrow money? Did you have to really save up and not eat for a bit? Like,
I tell you what happened. So I started obviously working on that Madame Tussauds. I was very good at saving money. So I had to go. So if I came here in 2010, that was the year that I arrived. When I came here, and no, that's a lie. It's 2009. No, I'm lying to you. 1999 is when I came to this country. Sorry. It's
right. Okay.
Yeah. So 1999 is when I came to this country. And then I then said, if I don't save money, I'm not going to be able to have this dream. I didn't want investors because I heard so many stories about it.
Yes. And still now.
I've got investors asking me now still. But I said no. Anyway, so I didn't want investors. I've heard really bad stories about having business partners and all that. And I went, you know what? I'm just going to work until I can't work anymore. So that's when I grabbed 3 jobs. I was at TGI Fridays. I worked for Sony Music. After my work experience, they gave me a job. I was like, I have to get in the industry. I have to see how this works. So I would say to anybody, just go and work as a work experience, wherever it is that you want to get involved, because that's the way in. It's the only way.
Yes, absolutely.
And then just work as many hours as you can to save as much money, have a very little social life apart from once a week. And then,
I'm laughing because it's true. It's so true.
Once a week, I remember Sundays I used to go, I don't work, but the rest of the week I used to work from 8:45 in the morning until 1 a.m. every single day. And I said to myself, I have to do it. So and then 10, 11 years, which is when Studio 68 opened in 2010, I saw the place. I did save a lot of money in 11 years. Imagine making £2,000 from one job. And then at that time, it was like probably £5,000 now. So think about it that way.
What was £5,000?
So,
the cost of the studio?
No, like if I used to make £2,000 a month.
Oh, then yes. The equivalent of it in today's money. Yes, got you.
£5,000. So
wow.
Imagine 11 years of one job.
Yeah. Yes.
And then my other job. So I used to make about £4,000 a month.
Wow.
The equivalent of probably about £12,000 nowadays.
Now, yeah. And can we just also just take a minute and take a step back to think, because I completely relate to you being a Nigerian woman. So I was born in Nigeria. I was born in Nigeria. I grew up there. I actually came to the UK in 2003, so a few years after you. And, we come with these dreams as, I want to say, immigrants, because that's what I consider myself as. Even now, when people ask me, like, where are you from? But like, Nigeria, like, I have a red passport. Actually, it's black now, but I have a British passport, but I'm still Nigerian. That's where I'm from. But I can sort of only imagine sort of thinking about myself and how I was feeling coming here, because it was very traditional back home. Women, our place was really just to get married and have kids. It's as simple as that. Although my family were very, especially my father was very keen on like education. I used to always ask him, like, you spend so much money on our education, but in the end, society, if I followed what society wanted me to do, I would just throw that down the drain, get married and have kids. So what is the point, and so when I moved here, a bit like yourself, I was just so driven from a place of trauma, mind you, and we'll talk about that in a bit too. But I was so driven. I wanted to change my stars. I wanted to do the exact opposite of what society expected of me. I had all these dreams, and like you, I mean, I fell into sort of becoming an entrepreneur, but I knew that I would work for myself one day. And I think I just want to kind of like take a moment to, in some ways, like reflect on your success, because you didn't have the path paved out for you. Number one, being someone who's not from this country. Number two, getting, a studio in central London. Like, I mean, you could have got a studio in Kent, You were like, no, I'm going to go for central London. Number three, being a female and running all of these businesses. Like, that's so many ladders that you're climbing. Like, that's a lot. And now you tell your story, and it's inspiring and it's amazing, but people need to understand that the odds were against you from the beginning. So I'm just inspired, really humbled, really is the word.
The builders actually run off with the money.
Oh God.
Like when we actually, that's another one. Oh, there's a lot in between.
What?
Yeah. So that's another thing for people to remember, that when they actually, any woman or anybody that wants to build up a place, be very careful. I've learned that on how to pay your builders. But when I opened without toilets.
Wow.
I had no toilets at Studio 68 when I first opened. So
wow. You started before you were ready. Yeah. I've heard this thing recently, start before you're ready. I am holding on to it. It's a bit like starting this podcast, look at us trying to figure out how to work Zoom just before the call. You do it before you're ready. And now look at you, right? So let's talk about your successes. Let's talk about Studio 68. Where is Studio 68 London now? Is in the big picture of things? Because I'm sure you've had to pivot, especially with the pandemic. That's years and years of running your business successfully, and then the pandemic comes along, and like everybody else, like, I'm sure you've had to pivot. What have been sort of the challenges for you as a female entrepreneur, and in a very central location with, during the pandemic, and where are we now with Studio 68 London?
So the problems never started with the pandemic. The problems started 2 years before the pandemic.
Right.
And for me, as a studio owner, it was very much when you get to success, you get to loneliness. And unfortunately, a lot of
people... say that again. Louder for the people in the back.
When you get to success, you get to loneliness. This is something we got to remember, because unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I'm a very empathetic person, and I was trying to help a lot of people in the industry. And a lot of people took a little bit of advantage of my little heart, or big heart. And unfortunately, I went through a very critical situation with social media dramas and people talking badly about the
Right.
studio. So they were trying to boycott, as they call it.
Okay.
Yeah, very badly. And we had 2 years prior to Corona, where the business didn't make any money. Then we had 2 years shut down of Corona, which we didn't make any money. And then we had 2 years, which is what we've been open now approximately since. So that is 6 years of let's stand as strong as we can. So,
wow.
yeah. Now, I will say something to anybody apart from having problems with Corona. Then we have the war, they have social media dramas. It's do not think it's not possible to come out of something like this, especially when you start it strong, you can be stronger. So all them challenges that you get given on a regular basis don't mean it's time to let it go. I had tremendous amount of offers to selling the business, like to buy it, investors, and even after the Corona period, my landlords wanted the money. And I came up with a great idea, which I'm not going to throw in the air because that's part of
keep it close to your heart.
Secret that works really well. And now I think I'm probably my landlord's favorite. So,
so you're gonna have to tell me what it is off camera.
No, maybe off the camera I can tell you, so you can do something, but just for you.
Yes.
So the obstacles we constantly get when we have a business, I didn't know about none of this. I didn't go to university. I didn't have a degree on business.
Wow.
I just had the love to do something that will prove it'll be possible to have one of the best locations in the world for the entertaining industry, dancers, choreographers, and artists. And I did promise myself I'll do it no matter what. And I did it. And I'm still
oh my God, babe. Emotional. I'm so proud of you. And you've worked with some big names as well. Studio 68 London has become home to a lot of huge artists in and out. And, you're absolutely right. Like life is gonna throw stuff at us, and I don't know what it is. I sometimes can't put it into words because even sometimes when people are like, oh, you just keep going and keep going. It's not like you're stronger than anybody else. It's not like you have two heads or, nothing gets to you. You're just as human as everybody else, but you just have this goal. And your eyes are on this goal. And it doesn't matter what's being thrown at you. You are a freaking force and you are going to stand and stay.
I'm staying.
You are staying.
I am staying, no matter what.
You are not going anywhere. I love that. And, I think at this point, actually, maybe we should talk a little bit about, mental health. I actually don't know your story within this. I'm willing to share some of mine because I've really been through a lot, and I think especially as a female entrepreneur or as any kind of entrepreneur, really, I think there's a failure is different when you work for yourself or what in quotes. Because in some ways, it's like you came up with this idea, you started doing it. And especially when things have gone well and people now know you own the studio and this is a place to be and you've worked with so many big names. And then in the public eye, people start rubbing your name in dirt or they start saying things about it or like it's not something you can hide. It's out there, and I feel like that hits differently.
Oh, yes.
How has that affected you as a person, not as an entrepreneur, not as the CEO of Studio 68 London, but as Tamara?
I'll be honest with you, what happened a few years back and being accused and pointed as certain things that never happened the way that they were put in the media. But unfortunately, as being a name and being an establishment, the law in this country is quite particular, which I don't agree with it, but I'm not a politician, so I can't really tell you how to change the law. But I went through a stage where I'm just like, only one time I will say, shall I give up? Shall I just let it go? And then for some reason, somebody out there said, no, don't do that.
Not today, Tamara, baby.
Not today, Tamara.
Not today, mama.
I would say that the frustration more than the sadness of seeing people being very conniving and very evil, it was something that I could have never understood, because if I see somebody achieving something or doing something good, I am more than big on stage, let's call it that way, to say, I want to learn how to do that. Can you please tell me how to do that? But I'm not going to go and go, why she got that and I can't have that. I am very much like, wow, teach me. But I would say that I don't know why I can say that mental health in this country, because this is where I live now, it's very high. And as now being a life coach, it's more, I study it more, I see it more. So my stages from business problems, challenges, they were very difficult, but also in your personal life, I was going through a very difficult stage where the person that I was with ended up not being the person that you thought he was.
Right.
Yeah, he was gay.
Right.
But that's another story.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Can we come back to that? Like,
We can come back to anything you need.
Tamara, this is juicy. Can we come back to
Very juicy.
Wow. Okay.
There was a lot of different factors that made me not want to give up. My friends that were around the studio thought, oh my God, like how's she gonna cope with all this stress? Like they thought this woman's gonna suicide one day. And I said,
Wow.
no. I said, I'm not doing it. Don't ask me why, but God gave me that strength. I have to be honest, I believe there's definitely somebody very special out there that
Looking out
is
for
looking at.
you.
I have a mission, and not just a vision, but it's a mission.
It's a mission.
It's a mission, and I'm here for a reason. So I am not gonna let anything, and my mental health will stay strong for women like you, women like that come to the studio, my coaching that I do over the phone with the women. I stay strong for them because I know they need it. And if I'm here and I've been standing through all of this, I have to be even stronger, but not because I want to be, it's because I know I am.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I want to give that energy to other women, especially that want to get into business. So yeah, that mental health was difficult to get into a balance, but it's there.
What's so amazing about that to me is my very first episode was about your purpose. And what I found so striking about what you've just said and how you've just answered that is the fact that your purpose isn't about you. Your mission is, you've almost kind of like said, doesn't really matter what I'm going through. My mission is about how I touch the lives of other people, who I am to other people. And it's so true. And that's something that I've recently just discovered. Like sometimes we're in our own heads, like, oh, how do I look to the world? And the world is going to bring me down. Because you're right. The more successful you are, the more lonely it's going to be, the more people will have an opinion about you, the more responsibility in some way that you have. And this is going to sound, I don't agree with this, but there's almost no room for sitting in a corner and crying, like I don't agree with it, because obviously that's your mental health, that's your person, that's your soul, that's your spirit, that's your mind, that's your body, that's your cup that you have to fill. But in some ways, the mind of an entrepreneur is such that you fight through these things, whether it's mental health or whether it's what people is like, you just fight through. You can't sit there and go, that's it. Because if you did, that's okay too, but that mission was never for you, right? And I just love that you've identified that it's a lot of like other people as well. It's kind of like you have this goal, that you've been sent here to achieve this purpose that's bigger than you. And that's just that's magical to me. Like that's deep, because not a lot of people know that.
Yeah, that's right.
Not a lot of people know that, or not a lot of people realize that their mission here is is much bigger than the money they're making or whatever else, but it is also important to fill your cups. So I love the insight. I love the depth of understanding of who you are, you know, because when people talk about who are you, and I said this in the last episode as well, it's like when people are like, oh yeah, I'm like, I might describe myself as I'm Joy, I'm a physio, I run a business that's a physio, but that's not you. Who are you? Who are you to the core of you? Like, what is your purpose here? Why are you here? You know? And sis, you've identified that. You know your mission. You know what you
Pretty much so, yeah.
you know yourself.
I could have gone a long time ago, though. It's been a lot, but if if you have an idea, when people say like, well, who are you? Why are you doing this? I want to provide for people. Like,
Yeah.
this is my choice in life. I mean, a lot of people will agree or disagree, but this is what I want to do, and I will keep doing it. The moment you've got bad energies or people attacking you, just move them out of the way.
Move away. No room.
Yeah, no
No
room.
room.
No room for this.
No room.
No,
No
no,
room.
no room for them.
No room. No room. Bad energy. Where? No, not here. Not here, darling. Not
Next,
here.
next.
Exactly. Let's talk about the life coaching then. Did this help you sort of get into life coaching? Like, did that come later on? Because
So,
dance has been
yeah.
there for a long time.
Yeah, so I tell you what got me into life coaching. Initially, it was a dance. From the dance, I moved to the fitness because
Okay.
of all the issues and challenges again, all the criticism and everything that was going through. And then unfortunately, I got injured on my right knee, and I was away from dance for 5 years. So
No way. You should have come to me. I'd have helped you.
I didn't know you then. Otherwise, you'll be my. I'm telling you, I'm
I
moving
know.
to London. You'll stay.
I
You stay at my house, like a house this year. I will walk
Right.
in. Yeah.
That is my dream. That is my dream, to be someone's personal physio. Oh my God. I would love my company to do that. Um, but yeah, next time you injure yourself, although I try not to, but next time you do, just, call me.
Okay, I will take that one.
But try not to.
Yeah, I did unfortunately on stage an ACL,
Oh.
and then I did an ACL in the same knee again.
Ooh.
So I had two ACLs. I had a whole tibia and femur reconstruction, meniscus, all that kind of stuff that you know about.
Oh my
Meniscus
God.
there, and then obviously the screws coming out, and yeah, the recovery was long because this was operation after operation, 6 months. So on that period
Imagine.
that I couldn't dance, but I still was running the business, I got into personal training, and then I did my
Okay.
personal training, got into the fitness world very strongly, which I absolutely love. And then from then, I realized that all of this was linking up. And there was a lot of girls in my classes that used to come, and they would always ask me questions. But T, how you keep so fit? But T, how do I do this? T, how do you always so happy? T, how can you cope with this? And I went, wait a minute, this is very much like a therapy. So it's not just a dance class or a choreography. I was like, I feel that the girls are coming to class for something else. So
Yes.
apart from that period that I had to recover and then went back into the dance, I then realized that it was important for me to provide with something that will help women, young women, older women, with something that they didn't get in a dance studio. And that's what the coaching came to. Initially,
Wow.
initially I started doing it in my own way. I didn't know anything about life coaching. I didn't know anything about therapies, counseling. I had no idea. But I just wanted to do something that will make them feel good. That's all it mattered. Listen to them and make them feel good. And then as time went by, people were starting, because obviously me being Spanish, I didn't know this terminology of life coaching.
Right, right.
What is this life coaching situation? So then I looked into it, and that's when I started seeing and being inspired by a lot of amazing coaches out there. I mean, you have Louis Ho, that's an amazing.
We're going to talk about that.
So he's amazing. Then you have Jay Shetty, Matthew Hassey,
Yes,
my
you are my
incredible.
spirit animal.
Oh
I
my.
love you so much.
And then you have Tony Robbins. So when I saw Tony, there was something about him that just got me. And I'm like,
Yeah,
who is this man? So
yeah.
on that case, on that moment, then I went to do my research. thank you, Google and YouTube, for this.
I know, right?
Even though internet can be a pain, this was a blessing. When I did my research, I said to myself, I want to be part of this. So I
Oh,
did apply for the life coaching with the Tony Robbins team. And because of my experience coaching, running Studio 68, doing the fitness side of things, I actually got into it. So I started studying with the Tony Robbins team, which I'm still doing. So I've been doing that
wow.
now for, it's going to be about 5 to 6 years that I'm
Wow. How
doing.
long is the study program?
So you study as long as you want. I mean,
Oh, okay.
coaches never really stop learning because
Learning. Yes,
it's
that's
like
true.
doctoring and dentists. There's new
Right.
techniques, there's new ways. So I studied with them, and then when you study, then you also have your own therapy with your coaches, and tell
Yes.
them how you do it and whatnot. So you
Okay.
have the course, and then you have your coach that you have to
Yes.
speak to every single week. Then you can also get into the
Wow.
federation as a life coach if you do want to, but it's not
Okay.
necessary. It just depends on your credibility and your hours of coaching. And obviously, my
Mhm.
amount of hours of coaching were so big. The
Wow.
amounts of reviews, the women were happy to just give the feedback to them. And since then, I've been doing stuff with them.
Wow.
I'm doing it under Studio 68, Tamara Kramer. I'm also with the
Yes.
Tony Robbins team.
And so that's TK Women's Academy, right?
Correct. Correct. So then
Wow.
the Women's Academy has been running now for 5 years, 5 to 6 years.
Wow. Wow. And I saw some videos about how like anything goes in these sessions. Like
Oh,
within can you just tell me a little bit about, these sessions? Like what would it in quite typical, but the fact that I've just said anything goes means there's nothing typical or traditional about it. But just talk me through like what I should expect coming to a session like that.
okay. So when I decided to do the coaching side of things a little bit more structured, I said to the team that I never want to follow up too much of what everybody else does. I'm a bit of a rebel
Mhm.
that way. I want my own technique. I don't want to just tell somebody and give them a piece of paper, just go and do this. Suddenly,
Right.
I look at that person, and then whatever that person gives me is what I'm going to give them. Let's say
Right.
you can see they've been through an abuse, they've gone with issues at work, they have a family issue. Depends on what that person has. If I have a group of women, let's say of 20, then maybe at that point I decided to just pick up a rope, and then maybe they have to fight between them because they had a fight with the mum. Or suddenly I tell them to go into the bathroom and take the makeup off because they all came with so much makeup to cover
Right.
up. So everybody has to take the makeup off because they,
That's powerful.
yeah, and yeah, I've got videos of that. It's unbelievable. Like these women are like, no, but we can't. I look so ugly. I say, wash that face or go home. That's it. And they go
Wow.
into the bathroom and they wash their face, and everybody's in the studio like this. Like, I don't want somebody to see me. They could be, let's wear our heels and get into the moment of sex appeal. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just bring a guy into the room and they have to dance to a guy like they're having a lap dance. Maybe I throw them into a piece of paper, and it's yeah, it's a different.
What?
Yeah, yeah. It's I put, I put this forward into the team, like Tony Robbins' team, and they said, "You are doing coaching like nobody's doing."
Nobody else. Yeah. You're doing it like Tamara
Yes.
is what you're doing. You're doing it the Tamara way.
Don't steal
The,
my
the
ideas,
Tamara,
people. Don't steal my ideas.
well, you know what they say that what is that saying when people copy you? Imitation is a form of something like it's a compliment. It's
Inspiration,
yeah.
inspiration.
Yeah, like yeah, sort of thing. So don't be worried about if people they'll steal it, but they're not you. They wouldn't do it like you do, sis. They just wouldn't. They don't bring the magic like you do. So steal it all you want, in fact.
Next.
you know, but
Okay.
you ain't Tamara. You ain't TK.
No,
you
it's true, but
just
yeah,
don't have her light.
there's no one way to deal with
Yes.
one person. I don't like that's this is why I don't really like books. I like to see,
Mm,
I like to experience, I like to listen to people, I like to understand that there is always a different way to handle a situation. And
yeah.
one of the things that I have realized is there is always a way. I know in English you guys have something that is where there's a will, there's a way. But for me,
Yes.
there is a way.
There's always a way, period.
It doesn't need to be this way. It can be any other way.
Yes. Absolutely.
Breaking the rule.
Yeah, of course. I mean, rules are made to be broken. And to be quite honest, somebody made them in the first place. So why don't you make your own? Make your own that works for you. And, your style may not suit everybody else, right? But that's okay. They might find someone else like Tony Robbins, like who you've learned under. His style is different to yours. So there might be people that would appeal to him and there'll be people that would appeal to you. But I love this life coaching, the fact that you've naturally found yourself life coaching. I feel like even just by living your life, just by being you, just by running your business, you probably don't realize, but you're coaching people. People are watching, people are looking. And yes, there'll be some that would be like, yeah, I want to bring her down and blah, blah, blah. But only because you've become this mirror, or they've turned instead of looking at you as an inspiration or trying to learn from you, like they've pretty much turned it around into like, oh, she's doing well, therefore I'm not. It's a psychological thing where people, they see you succeeding, but actually instead of being grateful or seeing it as an example and seeing it as a path that you've paid for them to follow, they suddenly see it as something they're not doing. And I've realized that can happen anywhere. That can happen at work, that can happen in your family, that can happen with your friends, the people you've grown up with. They see you doing well and they think, oh, she's doing well, therefore I'm not. And they forget that we're all on different paths. But I really love the life coaching side of things because I've been a physio for 13 years now. And I like, yes.
The same time I've got my business, 13 years.
So yeah, 2023 would make it 14 years. So I've been a physio for quite a while, and I've realized, I've realized my light, like you. I've always been very sort of happy, energetic. I have my goals, I have my visions and focus, blah blah blah. But in the process, what I never realized was the light that I was leaving every time I came in contact with people, and I realized that people came to me for physio. That was their reason for getting in touch. But what I was leaving them with was something completely different. Like I just have this, I can say it with pride now, but I used to always try and ignore it and just kind of like, almost like deny it, But I can say it with pride and humility now that I just have this thing, this light, this people talk to me and they feel better suddenly. When people come to me, I think my magic really with them is they can speak, they can open up. They have this pain in their back for whatever reason. As a physio, I'm able to say, this is the reason why you have pain in your back. I've grown as a physio. I'm actually, I'd say I'm good at my job. But what I'm really good at is, why do we have pain in your back? We literally delve deep. We have deep conversations, me and my clients. And it's actually ended up being just life coaching. And so I naturally became a life coach as a result of that. I'm like, it's not just physio, is it? You're kind of good at like talking to people and letting people feel so comfortable that they can open up and actually, delve deep into reasons why they are where they are. Because a lot of the time pain manifests physically, but it's not physical pain. The origin is not always physical, and so it's just amazing to see that even through your job, you have managed to not even manage, you succeeded, like successfully become a life coach. And I love that you've actually taken it a step further, learning through someone like Tony Robbins. I follow a lot of these guys as well, the Matthew Husseys and Lewis Howes and everyone. I literally every morning without fail, I'm listening to a podcast because right, those are the conversations that we want to have. That's the kind of growth mindset that we want to have. And it's a lonely world being a female entrepreneur or being anyone really who is trying to level up, So